This mine down in Argentina, the Lindero mine, is going to be phenomenally profitable because it's extraordinarily high grade. It's got an extraordinarily low cost of production, and it's literally going to be a money tree, assuming gold stays where it is or moves higher. If it moves higher, this thing's going to be just wildly profitable.
Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics. And today we have the legendary Dave Kranzler joining us back on the show to dig into a silver stock that he wrote about recently. And obviously we're quite silver focused here on Arcadia. So excited to have Dave on and catch up. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button so you can stay posted and know what's going to happen in the silver world years ahead of Wall Street. And with that said, the way to do it is to have Dave on. So Dave, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, thanks. Of course, I wouldn't say I'm legendary, and there's probably plenty of people out there who consider me to be a legendary moron, but I will say I do subscribe to Arcadia Economics.
Well, that's a good sign. And I mean, I'd say if we put your resume next to Bernanke's and your investment decisions and analysis, to me, it's an easy choice. So how about you could dig into the article. I'll pull it up here on the screen as well, but enjoyed your article about Fortuna Silver, and sounds like they have some good things going on.
Well, you should have read about Fortuna back in mid-October in my mining stock journal when I reviewed it and put a very strong contrarian buy recommendation on it. The stock had been blown up, and I felt that it had been blown up unnecessarily.
And what particular led you to feel that way? I know you described a little bit in your article, but would love to hear in your words what it is you like about Fortuna.
Well, first, I just want to say I got to give Peter Spina at goldseek.com, credit for. I mean, he didn't show me the idea, but I saw a tweet that he had put out in early October about Fortuna, saying that he thought it was a very good value play at this point. The stock had gotten hammered, basically a series of events. So the stock had traded as high as 459 in August, and then it bounced around for a couple weeks, and then it got blown up down to 3. And there was a couple factors that were going on there. One was they had issued a convert, so they're developing a massive, extraordinarily high grade gold mine down in Argentina, the Lindero mine. And they issued a convert to finance to fund getting the mine into startup over the finish line. And it essentially, the convert represented about a 5% dilution of the shares. And for some reason in the mining stock sector, when companies issue shares, everyone screams about dilution and the stock gets hammered. And it's almost in every case that happens. Any other sector, especially technology, company issues shares. Oh, this is confidence in the management and the company, and it's now they're funded again, and the stock goes up 10%. But anyway, the other factor that was affecting Fortuna, so it was the dilution, but then also there was an election down in Argentina, and the incumbent president was losing in the polls, and he was, pro-business, and he kind of reversed the policies of the previous president. And so everyone was worried that the previous president, Christine something Fernandez, she tried to impose socialist policies and put in policies that kind of scared off foreign investment into the country, blah, blah, blah. Not pro-business, anti-pro-business. And this guy who eventually won ran on sort of a populist platform, and she was the previous Christine Fernandez was his running mate, and everyone was worried that the government was going to revert back to the policies that kind of caused a currency crisis way back when. So Alberto Fernandez, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner was the previous president, and Macri is the guy who just lost. Well, at any rate, I spoke to a handful of mining company executives who I'm friendly with and who operate in South America and in Argentina. And they said, well, if you listen closely, what we think is he's running a populist campaign, and he is going to tilt the policies toward the middle class and the majority of the population. But he also understands that in order for Argentina to revive, it needs foreign capital and foreign investment. It needs to promote business, of which mining is one of the major industries down there. So I just felt that the market was over discounting the political risk of an Alberto Fernandez election down there.
Yep.
And just because Christine Fernandez de Kirchner is his vice president, that doesn't mean her previous policies are going to be implemented. So at any rate, the other thing that happened was at Fortuna's existing gold and silver mines in Mexico, both mines kind of simultaneously went through in the second quarter a period of low grading. So as you probably know or may not be aware, I mean, mining is not a smooth continuous function in terms of the function of production. Like a widget factory, you got smooth production, maybe an occasional quality control glitch or whatever, but it's basically a large continuous function. And mining, I call it lumpy. So mines go through periods where they have high grade ore, and there's periods where they have to go through sections of lower grade ore, and they got to run that through the mill, and it hurts their earnings. And I've seen it happen a number of times over the years. I think it was like 2010 or 2011, Agnico Eagle got hammered because it had this similar problem, had a couple other issues that were short term, but I mean, the market just brutalized the stock. And then it subsequently recovered, and it's been one of the best performing large cap gold stocks of the last 4 or 5 years. So at any rate, I looked at this, I spoke to management, and I said, well, first of all, the market's overreacting to the convert. I mean, they have to raise money to get this mine down in Argentina, the Lindero mine, is going to be phenomenally profitable because it's extraordinarily high grade. It's got a low strip ratio, which means it's got an extraordinarily low cost of production, and it's literally going to be a money tree, assuming gold stays where it is or moves higher. If it moves higher, this thing's going to be just wildly profitable. Yep. And I'm not that concerned about the political risk. Yeah, maybe they'll raise mining taxes a little bit, but that's the cost of operating in countries. Unfortunately, the U.S. has decided to keep taxes on the middle class the same and take taxes for the wealthy and large corporations down towards zero. And that's not a good way to finance a country. So at any rate, the stock bottomed out at 3. I put a strong buy recommendation at it around, I think when I published the Mining Stock Journal that you should have seen. I think it was at 314, and it's been steadily rising higher since then. It's essentially up almost 33% since I put out my buy recommendation. The last 2 days, it's had 2 days in a row of 8% gains. So, I mean, it's moved from last Friday it closed at 336, and right now it's trading at 396. So, yep. The way I looked at this, I'm like, you've got one of the world's largest silver producers. They also produce a lot of gold, and they're about ready to have an extraordinarily profitable mining operation come online. And this stock deserves to at least double from here in the context of where its peer group is trading. So That was my thinking on it. That's why I put a strong buy recommendation on it. At this point, I don't know if I would chase it. I would probably wait to see if it pulls back. And if you're looking for a large cap, world class silver producing company, I think Fortuna is a good core portfolio holding.
Yeah, and one last note here I found interesting, and I'll link to this article that you put up about Fortuna, which really lays out in even more detail what you're saying here. But you mentioned at the end here that in 2016, Fortuna traded as high as 950. Again, silver a little lower than the 2016 levels. But any thoughts on, again, like you've been talking, sounds like you feel it's undervalued with bullion prices where they are, has potential should bullion prices rise. Any thoughts on where it's trading now versus 2016?
Well, I mean, we had an extraordinary. What happened in 2016, in the first part of 2016, was significant because it basically punctuated the end of the 5-year or 4.5-year sell-off in the sector, right? We had a mini bear market in the sector. But everyone came out of the gates, like bulls on steroids. I mean, the GDXJ index tripled in 6 months from January to mid-July or mid-June, whatever. I mean, it tripled. And I looked at that and I'm like, and the silver stocks just went crazy. I mean, First Majestic went from like under $3 to $19.
Yep.
And it reminded me of the current general stock market bubble we're seeing now, where you got these idiotic tech stocks that are just melting up day after day. And that's kind of what was going on in the junior mining stocks, especially the silvers. And I didn't chase it. I mean, we had a big position in First Majestic and calls in First Majestic that we rode from like $4 to $10, and I was like, this is crazy, and I sold it. And, I was wrong temporarily on my timing, but ultimately I wasn't wrong. And, we still did well with it. But so I think part of that run up, Fortuna getting that high back then was a function of an over exuberant market. But I do think that, and I do think it can get back to those highs where it was in 2016. But I would like to see it happen on a kind of a more rational basis and have it be based on true fundamentals. The true fundamentals would be the successful operation of the Lindero mine, the demonstration that the existing mining properties, that they're going to find high grade ore to put through the mills and generate more earnings, which they will. And a steady rise in the price of silver. I mean, that's the beauty of these mining stocks, as you know, is their leverage to the price of silver, especially the ones that are profitable at $15 silver. They become wildly profitable at $30 silver. So, can Fortuna get back to those levels? It absolutely can. But I think we peaked around $21 of silver in 2016. And it was probably its market cap was probably reflecting an expectation that silver was going to go to 30, which it didn't. So, and I do think in this bull cycle, we will see $30 silver. I think we'll see higher than $30 silver, but it's not going to go straight up. And similarly, I don't think Fortuna's stock will go straight up. Neither should it, and none of them should. I'd like to see more of like a sort of the airplane taking off type chart pattern as opposed to the straight up.
Well, that would be nice. Unfortunately, it doesn't always go that way, especially in today's financial markets. But I do appreciate you sharing this, and we'll have the link below so that folks who want to know more about Fortuna, or as well the Mining Stock Journal, where, again, I'm always blown away how much you know about all these different companies. So it's a great resource. And perhaps in wrapping up, you can just give the folks the website address.
Sure. My website's investmentresearchdynamics.com. And at the top, there's a couple links to my short sellers journal and mining stock journal where you can find out more. And if you read what you like, you can subscribe. There's no, beyond the first month for each journal, there's no minimum subscription requirement. So you can try it out for a month. And if you don't like it, you email me and I'm more than happy to cancel the account.
Well, Dave, I appreciate that. Appreciate all the time you've shared with our audience and myself this year. And want to again wish you a happy holidays. And we will check back in with you again next week.
Thanks, Chris. I'd like to wish everyone out there happy holidays and a healthy 2020.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And we'll talk to you soon, sir.
Sounds good.